What's up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Blake McLain, and I'm a music producer. So just fair warning, I got a kitten. His name is Motley, and he's probably going to be climbing around the entire time. I didn't want to put him up because I just love him too much. He's too adorable. But yeah, so he's probably going to be walking around, and if he gets in front of the camera or anything like that, I'm sorry. It's just kind of the way it is right now. So, but I know most of you guys appreciate that, and it's okay. Isn't that right, buddy? Oh, there he goes. Anyways, so what I wanted to get to today and what I'm doing today is I actually went and saw Harry Styles live in Atlanta. I had someone buy me tickets, and so I flew there and got to go to the show and, got to meet some people and take some pictures with people and stuff, which was an amazing experience. And the show itself was absolutely incredible too. Like, I'm going to get to that in a minute. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to walk through what I remember from the show and kind of talk about some of the different key points, how well the show was put together, and just sort of do a little bit of a review of the show. I'm going to talk about the smoothness of it, some of the songs, how some of the songs are different than they are on the album. Let's actually put this candle out, buddy, because I don't want you touching that. It's a terrifying thing. Yeah, like how different some of the songs are, live as opposed to on the album, and just kind of the show overall, and give you guys a little bit of insight as to how it all works, and what's going on in case you haven't seen them, or even if you have. But that being said, before we get started, as always, please give me a like, give me a subscribe if you enjoy the channel. If you all want extra content, there's a link to the Patreon down in the description. I've got a bunch of extra content on there, and I'm posting fairly consistently now, so please go check that out. Also, I've started a Twitch where I'm doing custom reactions twice a week on Sundays at 4 and on Tuesdays at 4. There's a link to my Twitch down in the description as well. You can go and just put up in the chat what you want me to do, and I try to get to as many as I possibly can. On the Patreon, if you are subscribed to the Patreon under either tier, every week I post, or before every stream, I actually post a little thing, and you can comment below what you want me to do, and I will guaranteed pick at least 3 people from the Patreon each time. So please go check that out and just help support the channel too. It's a lot of fun. Hey, bud, can you get out of the way of the camera? Come here. Come here, buddy. Come here. Let's not put you right there. Anyways, so we're going to jump into the show now. The show was incredible, guys. And I'm sorry if I miss a couple things. If I had known I was going to do a review, I'm doing this by popular demand on Twitter. Everybody wanted to know what I thought of it and wanted me to do a review of it. I would have taken notes if I knew I was going to do that. So again, a lot of it is kind of scattered, but I'm going to do my best to run you guys through this and talk about some of the different things. First thing, the audience, the crowd was amazing. Everybody was so into it. Everybody was just really there to have a great time and enjoy themselves and see Harry, and just everybody dressed up. There were so many boas. Feathers everywhere. And I had no idea that it was going to be like that. Nobody told me it was going to be like that. So I had like a multicolored shirt. You can see on Twitter what I ended up wearing, and I thought it kind of fit the whole like treat people with kindness thing pretty well. But it was just fantastic. Everybody was so involved with the show and really just danced and enjoyed it and had so much fun. It was cool. It was really cool. Even a lot of the dads that were there, which I have seen the video of him calling the dads out. But anyways, so we're going to jump in now and talk about the show a little bit more. The first song that he came out with was Golden. And there's a reason for that, which I'll get to in a little bit, and I'll get to kind of the reason behind his set list, because I have an idea as to why he did some of these things the way he did. But Golden was fantastic. I have some clips from the show that I'm going to show you all. They're just tiny little clips, and for a reason, I don't really like to film a lot during the show, because I almost feel like, it's not disrespectful to the artist, but I know as an artist, I would rather people just kind of sit and appreciate or listen, and enjoy the moment and not film so much, and not focus on anything like that. Just be there, and enjoy every second of it with me as an artist. And I know he probably kind of feels a little bit of the same way. So I try not to film too much. So I just have small clips of things, but I am going to use them for reference. So he started out with Golden. And actually, before I jump into that, let me explain the stage. He did this in the round. So that means there's a crowd on every single side of him. So everybody is surrounding him, and the stage is in the center. and there's a long part of the stage that goes out to the left and a long part of the stage that goes out to the right. You know, almost like a catwalk, like a walkway, or like a runway. And so the band is set up in the middle, and occasionally for different songs, you know, you'd go out to this side or go out to this side. That is an insanely difficult thing to do for any artist. You have to be extremely, extremely experienced and know what you're doing and have things planned out very well to be able to do that. And I know his experience is what has allowed him to do that, because he really was able to interact with the crowd so well. But the problem is, at some points your back is facing to this side, at some points your back is facing to that side. Your back is always facing, you know, a portion of the crowd. So you have to be almost overly engaging in order to keep everybody also engaged and entertained, you know, and enjoying the show, because you really wouldn't want to see somebody's back the whole time, you know. And that's why a lot of smaller artists, they just do one single stage where everybody is facing them, you know, from one direction. Anyways, so he did an incredible job with that. He moved around so much and he interacted with the crowd so much and just really kept the vibe up the entire time. And I was beyond impressed with that. I've only seen a few artists do that, and they're all older artists that have been doing this for a very, very, very long time. You know, aside from like Elvis back in his day, he did that when he was like in his 30s, I think, after he got out of the military. But that being said, so he came out with Golden to start, had the guitar and everything, and jumped right in. Here's a small clip of Golden. And you can kind of see where he is as well. So you see the stage right there, and all the way to my left right here, that's where the stage kind of goes out. And then you see the band is set up in the center, and then there's another stage that goes all the way along this side, you know, with a mic down there and a couple other things. So, man, it's a fantastic song. I was so excited that he came out with Golden first. You know, there wasn't really anything in particular that was different about Golden. It was pretty spot on to what he plays on the record, but I loved that, especially to come right out with something that is mirroring the record almost exactly. You know, nailed it, absolutely crushed it. The harmonies were amazing on it, and Golden sat really, really, really well. So after Golden, he went into Adore You, I believe. He went right into Adore You. I'm probably going to forget some of the songs, you know, in between that he might have gone to. But yeah, just, you know, don't hold me to it. Because, again, it's kind of a blur. The whole night was a little bit of a blur. So he went to Adore You, and this really showcased, for the first time in the show, his fun side. You know what I mean? He put down the guitar, and he just kind of went out and started enjoying himself a little bit and started moving around the stage and everything. Because when you do have a guitar and you're singing, there's not too much you can do. You got to stay right in front of the mic, because it's really awkward and difficult to move around too much with a guitar. So here he kind of, you know, put it down and started playing around and dancing and enjoying himself and interacting with the crowd a little bit more. So you can see right here, I got a little clip of him dancing, which was fantastic. I was stoked I got this. So funny. And actually, I sent that clip to my girlfriend, and she was like, that looks exactly like something you would do when you're drunk. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much spot on, exactly what I would do. Or, you know, during my shows, I'd probably do exactly something along those lines, just because it's fun and you get to kind of enjoy yourself and dance and just let loose, you know. And it's cool to see an artist let loose like that. I love watching it, because it's almost a representation of their true self. You know, you're just enjoying yourself. You're just dancing, you know, you're in the moment again. And it just also goes to show how much he loved it, you know, loves Adore You and loves, you know, dancing to it and playing it. On Adore You, he did what he did in, I believe it was like the BBC Live sessions, which was one of my favorite versions of that song. I actually like it more than the original, where he stayed an octave below, like an octave lower on the chorus. So it was like, walk through fire for you, just let me adore you, it's the only thing I'd ever do. Like really down in there. Don't judge my vocal this morning, it's still pretty early, so I haven't gotten going yet. But then at the end of the song, he actually jumped up the octave and really gave it, which that creates tension. When you don't really give the audience what they want until the very end of it, it's like that release. So I was so happy to hear him do that, and I was like, yes, that's it, dude. That is it. like crushed it, absolutely crushed Adore You. And everybody just had a great time to it too. They all danced and just sang along, you know. That was a fun one. Let me see what I have next. Okay, She. I want to talk about She for a second. A lot of you know She is like, that is like my favorite song on that album. When I originally did my reaction, I know a lot of you have seen that when I did the reaction to Fine Line, when he got to that high part, that she lives in daydreams with me, and just, I had never heard that part of his vocal before, and it just gave me chills, and it still gives me chills every single time I hear that song. So I was really kind of looking forward to him doing that and see kind of where he places his vocal live. Unfortunately, he didn't do it. He didn't ever go up to that high, you know, head voice that she lives in daydreams with me. Instead, he kept everything low into the she lives in daydreams with me, and let his band take the harmonies like the girls take it. I'll let you hear it really quick. So let's see. Man drops his kids off at school. He's thinking like all the school. Sends his system for coffee in the afternoon. And taking a little bit of liberty with the vocal too there. That's something also that's really cool about live, is to just change things up and play with them a little bit to keep it interesting. The chimes were also a very nice touch. I just noticed those. So we're going to get to Mitch here in a second. I also did want to say that I was really happy with where I was here because I got to watch Sarah like the entire time, which Sarah is like just a killer drummer. She is so like technically spot on, but still has the feel. She feels the music, and you can tell she feels the music. But to have that perfect balance between technical and feeling is something that a lot of musicians don't have, and she has it. I mean, I have not seen many drummers that I thoroughly enjoy watching them play like I do her. Absolutely incredible. So during She, the real highlight of it, if you ask me, was Mitch. Crushed a guitar solo. We're going to watch that, and I'm going to talk about it here in a second as we watch it. So first off, notice how slow he's walking, and it's for a good reason. All right, so here's the reason you're about to see. Look where his feet are. See the pedals? Now he's jumping onto the wah pedal. So what the wah pedal does is it kind of it plays with like the high and low frequencies of the instrument that you're playing. So you can basically put, it's almost like an okay way to explain it, probably not the best, is like a high pass and a low pass filter where you're cutting out low frequencies or cutting out high frequencies. And you're constantly changing which one is being cut out. So you end up with this wah, 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 kind of a sound to it. And so notice as he plays, he does it on every single pick. See what I mean? How he's doing it at the exact same time. And then "We Love You, Mitch" sign in the back. Mitch is fantastic. And then brings it down. And so you start creating that tension once again with the song. You know, that's a vitally important thing to do whenever you are playing live. It's all about creating that tension with the audience and releasing it, creating the tension and releasing it with the audience. Something else that I do want to mention here is, notice he doesn't even have like the guitarist face that most guitarists make as they like start, you know, just crushing it, you know, the whole like really ugly face. Instead, he's just as calm can be. And if you ask me, it just shows his like real mastery here, because he's not even thinking about it. It's just second nature to him, you know, playing that incredibly. And yeah, it is a solo that he's probably practiced a bunch, but we all know that he just kind of can do this off the cusp too. And that's how he did it on She, and that's, you know, what he's recreating here. And who knows what kind of liberties he takes every single night. He might just change some things up. I don't know. I'd be curious to see some of his other solos and see if they're the exact same. See if there's anything else to this. And his little bow. Cool. Yeah, absolutely crushed that solo. And I mean, that was the highlight of She for me. Just really, really, really brought it up to a whole new level. You know, and to play with the wah and to have all those little effects on it and everything, just really, again, absolutely amazing. Mitch is an incredible guitarist, and they're all incredible. We're going to talk about the rest of the band here in a few minutes, because I was blown away. Absolutely blown away by them. So let's go on to the next song. So Falling. This was also very interesting what happened here. So he came out to my side of the stage, which actually the woman that was with April, you know, fantastic person. Like, she's absolutely one of the coolest people I think I've ever met. She was the one that, you know, also got me the tickets and everything. She had seen him a couple times before this, you know, on this same tour. In fact, I know she went to the Vegas show, the very first one. And so she kind of knew where he was going before anybody else really knew that was at the show. And so she was like, come with me, you know, he's going to go over here next. And so we go over there, and we went over to this left side of the stage on that catwalk where you just saw Mitch. There was a piano there, you know, and also a mic. And we got kind of like right up on the gate. There were only a couple people in front of me, and he started to jump into Falling. But before he jumped into Falling, he did literally like 2 seconds of Two Ghosts. It was just like, you know, we're just two ghosts standing in the place of you and me, like that, trying to remember how it feels to have a heartbeat. And then they started playing Falling, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to play Two Ghosts, and then just went straight into Falling. I was kind of really hoping he'd play a little bit more of Two Ghosts, but it was also just cool that he did that little snippet just for, you know, for the audience, for everybody. So there was a little piece of that in there somewhere. You know, and he only played for about an hour and a half, which I'm going to talk about that too. Actually, about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes as we get into some of the other songs, because it's for a good reason. And it's for the same reason that I think he started with Golden. But here's a little piece of Falling, which, again, he crushed. I mean, the vocals were spot on. Actually, this is the second part of Falling, so let's go to Falling 1.
And I can't take it back, I can't unpack it back into love. What am I now? What am I now? What if I'm someone going around? I'm falling again, I'm falling again, I'm falling.
Amazing. Like, he did not miss a single note, which I didn't really expect him to, you know, in the song. But here's the second part to Falling. I wanted to hear him do that high note. And I don't think I got any more from there because it pretty much cuts out. Something interesting that I noticed during Falling as I was, standing there listening was I've seen him do that live in other videos, other live videos on YouTube and stuff like that. And like award shows, but live, it's when you're actually there, it's a little bit different. I could hear more to his vocal than I've been able to hear in the other ones. There's actually a higher end to his vocal, like a higher ring that you don't really get even in this recording. And I just thought that was very interesting because it's almost like, oh, okay, so that's where he sits vocally normally. And it just gave me a little bit more insight into where his like placement is and how he sings, which as a singer, I love hearing that, and it gives me kind of, again, a little bit more insight into my voice based on him, and how he's doing it live and stuff. Because a lot of those things you only learn through doing them live. And so you can watch other people live too in person and kind of pick up on some of those little things. But Falling was absolutely amazing. And let's see. So then we're going to go into Sign of the Times here in a second. Before we get into Sign of the Times, I want to talk about some of the stuff that he did in between. He did Treat People with Kindness, which was really cool and almost had a little bit of like Sarah on the drums almost gave it like an EDM flair. So it had like the builds like the like that kind of a thing in it. So it really felt more danceable. And he had like 3 songs in a row that were far more danceable. And it was kind of cool to see them changed up like this. So that one was changed up a little bit. And then he went into Sunflower, I believe. Sunflower was for me so much better live than it is on the album. Sunflower was probably, in my bottom, kind of tier on the album. But live, it was just the organicness of the instruments, and actually having a lot of the live instruments to back it up and changing the arrangement just a little bit gave it this whole new breath of life. And I absolutely enjoyed like every second of that song. I was like, I wish that's the way it was done on the album. And it might also have something to do with like the fact that, Sarah on drums, you're in an arena, so they sound a lot bigger. It's almost like having like a huge hall reverb on them, so it makes the song sound a little bit bigger. But again, the band backing it up and the arrangement and everything just made the song feel more organic and not so produced, which I think for him and his style is incredibly important, and it just sits so well. That being said, after Sunflower, he went into Canyon Moon, which Canyon Moon has grown on me over the course of listening to that album. And I actually really like that song. They changed it so much. And I think it was for the better. And I think it's what, after listening back and everything, that's what they wanted to do. It feels like it fits in again with the rest of the music a little bit more. They gave it this almost like Toto Africa feel, where Sarah was playing like on the drums, on the toms, like so it had this. It was just far dancier, and more enjoyable, and it almost had this really cool like underlying like soul feel to it, as opposed to being more like Jimmy Buffett and folk sort of mixed together, which is kind of how the maybe a little bit like Fleetwood Mac, in there as well on Canyon Moon on the album. But here it catered more to an audience, a live audience, and danceability, and kind of it was so much more upbeat, and it sat so much better, if you ask me, and the dynamics of it were so much better. It was absolutely incredible, and it was smooth and well done. So yeah, I loved Canyon Moon. That was amazing. So after those, he went into, actually he did do one more thing in between. I believe it was before Sign of the Times. He did do What Makes You Beautiful, and he did the version, I believe he did it like Jingle Ball. I think that's what it was. Don't quote me on that. But it's a really cool version, and it's got this like, or maybe it was after Treat People with Kindness, because it's around the same beat, that which is a very sort of old school like the Temptations kind of a feel. You get a little bit of that like Motown out of it. And I thought that was awesome. It's like Elvis and Motown, and all of that mixed together to do What Makes You Beautiful. And the crowd lost it over it. And I did too. Honestly, I sang the whole time. It was so fun, and it was so well done. So Sign of the Times. Let's jump into Sign of the Times. I have a small clip of it here, and then I'll talk about Sign of the Times. And I'm also going to go ahead and talk about why I think the arrangement was like it was, like I told you guys I was going to earlier. Cool. So you get a little bit of an idea of kind of where he sat there with Sign of the Times, and he moved around a lot, you know, again, and enjoyed himself during it. But that song really hit extremely hard. At the end, I kind of knew he wasn't going to do the high notes, you know, that got to away, got to get away, like really jump up into those and do that full voice belt that he does. And I think the reason for it is because he's really trying to preserve his voice over the course of this tour. And I think that's why also he's only playing for about an hour and 45 minutes. And he starts with Golden, which is very low. It's golden, golden, as I open my eyes. Hope, you know, like right in there. And it pretty much stays there the whole time. You know, he never really gave his full vocal until he needed to. And there was one point, I think it was either before or after, it might have been right before Sign of the Times. He did a little bit of talking, and I could tell there was a little bit of wear in his voice from the night so far. You know, so again, it's just trying to preserve his vocal for the entire time. So if there's no reason to jump into those really, really, really high ones when the arrangement can sound just as good, don't do it. Because you'd rather the song sound, you know, near perfect for a live performance as opposed to, you know, overstraining yourself and, you know, really overworking yourself and ending up with issues later down the line, like later on the tour. So I think that's also why he waited until a little bit later to do some of these songs that have a little bit more strain for him, because he went like this. He did Watermelon Sugar, Kiwi, you know, those as some of the last ones. And it just kind of gave me a little bit also of insight into his vocal. You know, in One Direction, he didn't have to sing for 3 straight hours. You know, he took his spots here and there, like on the choruses, you know, or on the verses, you know, and then he had time to rest in between. Here, you're constantly running, you're constantly moving, you're putting, you know, you're using your muscles, you're putting strain on your vocals. And it almost feels like he has this amazing belt, and he doesn't necessarily use this like thin mixed voice all the time, which a lot of singers do to ensure longevity in their voice, you know, during a live show if they're playing for like 3 hours. But with his songs, they're more of like a belt on those bigger spots. So he's got to pick and choose when he does it. Otherwise it's just going to wear him down, and nobody wants him worn out. Everybody wants him at his absolute best. And he definitely found a way to make sure he's at his absolute best here. So yeah, Sign of the Times was absolutely amazing. Crushed it once again. And you know, the dynamics in it were fantastic. And after that, he took like a small little break, and he went probably to pee, like I've seen him do in like every single other like live show or appearance or whatever, which is hilarious. Or maybe to get some water or something like that. But after that, he came up, and I believe he talked to the audience for a little bit, which his interaction with the audience was perfect. It was so congenial, and it was so, you know, like understanding, and just, you know, almost like old friends. You know, it was a really cool thing to watch him talk to people like that. You know, he was just having fun with everyone and making sure that everybody else was having a good time. It was very clear that that was the number one thing on his mind was, I hope everybody has a good time and is enjoying themselves. And he was charismatic with everyone, you know, and again, just interacted and did his best to, you know, pick people out of the crowd and talk to people and read some of the signs. Some of the signs I don't blame him for not reading. I'm sure he read them. But man, some of those are, you guys make some interesting signs. I'm not going to lie. They're pretty funny. They're absolutely pretty funny. But, you know, he talked to the audience. He calls people out, you know, and just, my bad. So my camera shut off because it's been 30 minutes. So we went into Watermelon Sugar, and I think he just kind of introduced the band, which I'm going to talk about that here in 2 seconds.
Are you ready to go home? Are you ready to take it home? Before we do either of those things, I would like to introduce you to my incredible band.
Okay, yeah, I was right. So he just introduces like one person and I cut it off. But I want to talk about the band for a second. I pay very close attention to live bands and, you know, how well put together they are, how, you know, clean everything is, and how tight they are as a band. They were so tight and played off of each other so well. And again, I don't know if Sarah was going to a click track and they were following her, or if her and the, you know, the percussion player were going to a click track and everyone was following them. Which the way that works is if there are loops or anything like that, you know, you have a click track basically that the drummer listens to. So it's going in their ear the entire time, and the loops are timed to that. So if the drummer gets off, then the loop is off and the whole song is messed up. But then everybody plays to the drummer and doesn't hear that click track. So then everybody else can kind of vibe a little bit more off of themselves and don't necessarily have that extremely just, you know, droning which also leads me back to why Sarah's an amazing drummer, because she's able to play to the click and still have the feeling. You know, you just don't get that often. It's incredible. But every single person in this band is beyond talented. Like beyond talented, and that was very obvious. There was a lot of soul on the keys, on the percussion. Everything was timed so well, and it was fun, you know. And he made it look fun, and obviously enjoyed every single moment of that. The keyboard player, like the actual like guitar player, crushed it too, and she has an amazing voice. And I kind of watched her, you know, solo and play, and her timing is amazing, like immaculate. Their guitarist, not just Mitch, but their other guitarist as well. Her voice is incredible. And honestly, I was like watching them do some harmonies. There was a point where her, Harry, and the guitar player all did, you know, a 3-part harmony together, and it was just them, and it was like butter. It was so smooth, and they were playing at the same time, and that to me was just I love hearing that. I absolutely love hearing it. It just, you know, that's music to my ears, literal music. But yeah, I mean, amazing. Every single one of them were absolutely amazing. And obviously Mitch is incredible. Their bassist crushed it on some of those songs, and those songs are not that easy to play. They've got some funk to them. And so for her to do that and sing at the same time is insanely difficult. It takes a high level of skill to be able to do that, and they pull it off so well. And every single one of those girls sing too, so it's cool, and the guys do too. I mean, it's just amazing. I was blown away by them. So we're going to listen to a little bit of Watermelon Sugar here, and that way you guys can kind of listen to, get an idea of what it was sounding like. I actually filmed this small portion because I liked Mitch's guitar tone on it, and I wanted to show my guitarist, Alec, because it's sort of, there's not too much low end to it. There's not too many mids, like too much mids, you know. It sits in a spot that allows the other instruments to sort of like cradle around it. You know, it's pretty incredible. So I really wanted to catch this and show him. I will say this too, he messed with the crowd a lot leading up to this point, which again was the tension that you create in a live show. He just kind of let the crowd sing it, sang it a little differently, had a little bit of synth under it, never really gave the full thing until that point right there. And he probably had everybody sing the verse 3 times, which was pretty cool. You know, it made you wonder, when is it coming? Is it coming? Is it coming? Finally, when it does, it just hits you right here, and it feels so good. So well done, well done on Watermelon Sugar. And obviously that one was a party too. Finally, he finished with Kiwi, which I was extremely happy with. Kiwi's also one of my favorite songs, and I just really got into that one. Kiwi was absolutely amazing, but it was also, I know why he did it last, because that one, you know, you are putting a lot of strain on your vocal. So he probably wanted to wait until that was done so he didn't have any strain on anything afterwards. So Kiwi was the very last one. And what a way to go out. You can watch him kind of leave here. Killed it, dude. Absolutely killed it. And that's when he left and the band played a little bit more and kind of let everyone, start to leave and everything, in like a safe manner, which I know is kind of why they do that. So everybody doesn't leave all at once. But every single song was obviously placed where it was for a very good and specific reason. He didn't play Sweet Creature, which I was a little disappointed with because I love that song too, but I wasn't disappointed with the set list even a little bit. Again, I think it catered to him where he is and, all of his songs that he wanted to tour extremely, extremely well. And Fine Line was amazing too. That's the one I missed talking about. And I wish I had filmed a little bit of that. He went all the way up the octave at the end of Fine Line and it just chills, full chills. And everybody kind of went a little silent there. It was incredible. That was an amazing, amazing song. But yeah, I mean, everything was just placed so well. The show was smooth. He worked the crowd. He was charismatic. He enjoyed himself. Everybody seemed to really enjoy themselves, with dressing up and with singing and with dancing. And just, it was an amazing experience. And it's so cool to be in a room of people where everything is just so positive, and that was the whole point of the whole show. Everything was just extremely positive. And musically, I just couldn't have been more impressed. And it takes a lot live to impress me. I'm always looking for like little things. I'm not like cutting people down ever, you know what I mean? But I'm always watching those things and always listening to those things. And I was just beyond impressed. It was one of the best shows I think I've ever been to. And I would highly recommend going and seeing him. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Hey, bud, what are you doing there? I would absolutely recommend going and seeing him. And Harry, dude, if you ever watch this, man, congrats. Honestly, dude, I can't give you any more kudos. Like, killed it. Absolutely killed it. Blew away my expectations and keep it up. Absolutely keep it up. I can't wait to see where things continue to go, for you and your solo career. And it's inspired me in my music as well. And I know it inspires a lot of other people. And you definitely have an amazing, amazing fan base. They're great people. And you're lucky for that. It's cool. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm sure I missed a lot. This is a little wonky because I've never done a review before of a concert. And so I didn't really know 100% what to talk about. Like I said, I would have taken notes. I will say if this video does well enough, like maybe over like 50K views or something like that, I was thinking about buying a ticket to Louis Tomlinson and going and doing the same thing for his show. Or if there's any other artists you guys want me to do, let me know. I would love to go and watch them live and talk about some of the different, aspects of the show and probably get a little bit more in depth than I even did here because I'll know that I'm going to be talking about them. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed this. And till next time, I will catch you all later.